This is Marilyn Lohman, Service Hydrologist at WFO Pendleton. I will be reviewing the mountain snowpack and water supply forecasts for the Pendleton forecast area as of February 7th, 2013. This map, produced by the Natural Resource Conservation Service, shows the percent of normal snow water equivalent, or the amount of water being held in the snowpack, for some various basins across the state of Washington. January was much drier than normal across the region, with only a couple of strong storms throughout the month. An area of high pressure was more the dominant feature through January, producing cold temperatures, low clouds, and fog for the lower elevations, while the mountains saw sunny skies and mild temperatures. This is reflected in the average basin snowpack. The lower Snake Basin remained nearly steady with a snow water equivalent near 85% of normal. In the Cascades, the snow water equivalent decreased from around 120% of normal in the upper Yakima Basin and around 140% of normal in the lower Yakima Basin to 95 to 105% of normal. In the next few slides, we'll look at a few locations within the basin and see how the snowpack changed. These charts show the snow water equivalent for the water year October through September. The blue line is the maximum observed, while the red line is the minimum, and the green line is the average. Using these charts, we can see how the snow water equivalent accumulates throughout the winter and spring and compare it to average. The Touchet Snotel site is in the Walla Basin, around 5,500 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that there was a steady increase during the first part of the month, and then the snowpack was nearly steady or even decreased slightly during the mid part of the month. There is a great increase during the last few days of the month, but the snow water equivalent remains below normal. The Southsea Ridge Snotel site is located in the upper Yakima Basin at 4,200 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that there was a large rise in the first part of the month, with little additional accumulation throughout the rest of the month, and is below normal at this time. The Bumping Ridge Snotel site is around 4,600 feet in the central Washington Cascades and is at about midpoint in elevation across the lower Yakima Basin. This area also saw a good increase during the first part of the month, with little accumulation after that, and the snow water equivalent remains near normal. Across the Oregon portion of the Pendleton forecast area, a storm at the end of the month bumped up the snowpack in the northeast mountains with an increase from 70% of normal to near 85% of normal for the Grande, Powder, Burnt, and Umatilla basins. There was little overall change in the upper Deschutes and Crooked basins, with the amount slightly above normal, around 105% of normal. While the Grande and Umatilla basins saw a small increase, mainly due to the late month snow, and have amounts 90 to 100% of normal. We'll take a look at some individual sites within the basins in the next several slides. In the lower Deschutes Columbia Basin, Clear Lake Snotel is at an elevation of 3,500 feet. Looking at the black line, the current year observation, this site saw little in the way of accumulation until late in the month and continues to be below normal. In the upper Deschutes Basin, Three Creek Meadows Snotel site is at about 5,600 feet. We can look at the solid black line and note that the site saw little accumulation during January, with the snow water equivalent currently below normal. For the Grande Basin, we can use the Blue Mountain Springs Snotel site at 5,900 feet. This location showed little increase until the last few days of the month and is well below normal. For the Umatilla Basin in the Blue Mountains, we can look at the High Ridge site at 4,900 feet. Looking at the black line, we can see that there was some accumulation at the beginning of the month and then little additional until the last few days of the month. Even with the large increase at the end of the month, this site continues to see amounts well below normal. In the Grande Basin, the Moss Springs Snotel site at 5,800 feet also showed the pattern of an increase at the beginning of the month, remaining fairly flat for most of the month, and a large increase at the end. However, the snow water equivalent remains well below normal. The Northwest River Forecast Center uses Ensemble Streamflow Prediction, or ESP generated forecasts, as the official water supply method. This year, new 30-year runoff normals covering the years 1981 to 2010 are being used. For all of the published locations, the updated normals are less than the 1971 to 2000 data set. This is due to the relatively dry runoff period from 2001 to 2010. New ESP forecasts will be published on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at a minimum of once per week, but may be updated daily at the discretion of the Northwest River Forecast Center. For updated forecasts and more information on ESP forecasts, please see the River Forecast Center's webpage at the address given. We'll look at a few rivers now. For the Yakima River system, we will look at the Yakima River near Parker. Looking at the plot, the solid green line is the 30-year normal. The box plots show the entire range of forecast values, with the blue dots the 50th percentile, or most likely value. We'll be using the 50th percentile and comparing it to normal. The volume forecast for the Yakima River near Parker has decreased slightly to around 120% of normal, down from the earlier forecast of 125 to 130% of normal seen at the beginning of January. The forecasted volume of water that is expected to pass through the Grande River near Troy is expected to be about 90% of average. The model used to produce these figures uses the current 10 days of forecasted precipitation and assumes normal precipitation throughout the rest of the forecast period. For the Umatilla River at Pendleton, for the period April through September, the volume forecast has trended down from 85% of normal at the beginning of January to around 75% of normal. This lower value corresponds to the below normal snowpack as discussed in the previous slides. The Columbia River at the Dalles can be an indicator for the entire Columbia Basin. Once again, we see the average plotted in green with the most likely value, the blue dot. The volume for the April through September period has trended down as well, from near normal to around 92% of normal. The previous seen plots and additional water supply locations are available in an interactive form on the Northwest River Forecast Center's website at the address listed on the concluding slide. The 3-month outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for February, March, and April shows an increased chance of below normal temperatures and an equal chance of below or above normal precipitation. Thus, we would expect to see near normal wintertime weather throughout the coming weeks with both wet and dry periods. Once again, additional water supply forecasts and interactive forecasts can be found at the Northwest River Forecast Center's webpage at the address listed. If you have any questions, please contact me by email or by the phone number listed here. Please join me again in March as we continue to assess the snowpack and water supply forecasts for the coming spring and summer.